If you love the beauty of hummingbirds on your cards, then this video is for you. Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca Keppel, and in today's video, I'll be sharing several stamps and dies from the latest Spellbinders Bibi's Hummingbirds collection. First, let's take a quick peek at what I'll be using today. This is the Hummingbird Sentiments stamp set. There's 14 stamps. There's a bunch of different types of fonts and messages, and they're all really lovely and heartfelt and really pretty sentiments. This is the Hummingbird Card Creator die set. As you can see, there's a large hummingbird die. So you are basically cutting out a shaped card that then you are going to decorate as a hummingbird. This is the pop-up hummingbird die set. This is a little bit different. This creates a card where the hummingbird pops up in the center. Now let's make some hummingbird cards. Let's start with the Hummingbird Card Creator. As I mentioned, this large die cuts out a large hummingbird. There's also several dies to create the belly of the hummingbird, and that die there is great for placing your sentiment on. There are several dies that create the face of the hummingbird. You have a beak and an eye, you have some feathers for the top of the head, as well as color for the side of the face. That's very easy to put together. The rest of the dies are stems and leaves and little flowers. The stems all have these little circles on the end. If you put a little dot of glue on each circle, you can then put the die cut flowers right on top. So they make it really easy to figure out how to put together an entire little stem of flowers. And then of course there are different flowers that you can layer on top of each other, and there are teeny tiny little flower centers that I cut out of gold mirror cardstock. All of the colors of cardstock here, except for the green, are new colors to Spellbinders, and I will link to all of the new colors down below in the YouTube description box under the video. I like how there are different styles of flowers and different styles of stems and leaves. It really creates a beautiful effect when you lay these on that hummingbird's wings that are open. So again, I am just using an embellishment tool. I know some people like to use tweezers for these little itty bitties. I find it much easier to just use an embellishment tool that has basically a wax tip on one end and then kind of a pointy tip on another end. And I'll be sharing a review of a new embellishment tool coming up soon, so be sure to watch out for that. So once you have all of your leaves and flowers put together, you can then start putting your hummingbird together. So this large stomach die piece I cut in a different color so that you could really see the different aspects of this bird. I cut the beak out of the gold mirror cardstock as well. I just thought that was so pretty and unique looking. And then this light gray for the feathers on top of the head, and this kind of darker color for the face. Then once you put those three together, you can put a little dot of glue. It shows you exactly where to put the eye. So very simple to put together. I had no problems just doing this by looking at it. And then you can go crazy or not, depending on how many flowers and stems you want to put on this hummingbird's wings. They think that just the two on each side that they come with looks really pretty. I did have some extra flowers, so I decided to put those individually around some of the stems and in some of the open places on the wings that had not been kind of filled in a little bit yet with flowers and stems. So just depending on how you arrange things, you may need a few extra just to fill in here and there to make it look really just a springtime effect of beautiful flowers on the wings. Here's that other belly piece that I said could fit the sentiment. I'm using Your Kindness Means Everything, and I've stamped it in black ink on that light gray cardstock. Again, that script font is absolutely beautiful. I absolutely love it. For the card, we're going to take an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock and fold it in half. So that's at 5.5. And once we have that scored and folded, we're going to lay the large hummingbird die with some of the wing and tail hanging off the fold. If you hang it off the fold, it won't cut on the fold. So then I'll hold it in place with some washi tape. And once I peel off carefully that large die and pop pop it out, you can see that it's most of the hummingbird except for the top. Then we just put some adhesive on top of that card shape and place the hummingbird right on top of that. So super, super simple. I love how easy this is to create, and it's so unique. So if you have anybody that loves hummingbirds, this set is just phenomenal and will create such a wow card for them. Okay, this is the pop-up die. So this is a little bit more tricky, a little bit harder, but I'm going to walk you through the steps. Once you know the steps, it's very simple. This die cuts out these it looks like 2 hummingbirds, but it's actually 1. You're going to fold it in half there, and there are score lines right in half to show you where to fold that hummingbird in half. There are also little decorations. So we're going to decorate both sides of this hummingbird. We have the belly that I cut out of that light gray cardstock. I really love that light gray. I'm going to have to definitely get more of that. And the other side, you're going to flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. So for the eyes, you're going to do one on one side and one on the other side. And you'll see this will make a lot more sense once we start putting the card together. But basically, this is going to be a 3-dimensional hummingbird that's going to pop up in the center of your card. So those little eyes get glued on, and then there's a little spot for the beaks. I cut out 2 beaks, and you can see that the die actually has 2 beaks. So it lays on top of each other. The beaks you actually you can glue together because you want this to be one bird. So the beaks get glued together, but everything else is on both sides. There are wings as well. You don't want to glue the wings together because then the hummingbird's wings won't open. So just glue wings on one side and then line up the wings exactly the way you put them on the other side. And now you have this kind of dimensional looking hummingbird. These are the flower layers. Now there are score lines all over this flower. So I'm just going to gently start to fold in those score lines so that I can see exactly what's going on here. Now you can see that there are a petal that overlaps each other. So that's where you glue this together. So I'm using liquid glue, just put a little on the bottom and then put the on top petal right on top and glue it down. So same thing for this middle layer, just gently fold. That's going to allow this to kind of pop up and pop down so it can lay flat, but it also can pop up. And again, there's a petal that can be glued underneath a petal on the other side. Now for this last piece that is kind of that center, it's got all the little stamen on it. It's just going to be a tab. So there's a little tab, put the glue on that, and then lay the other piece right on top. And it fits perfectly. It's not a stretch at all. Super, super simple, but you do have to hold it to make sure it stays glued. Now you can see there's 2 tabs in the center. You want to fold this flower so that there is a tab on top of another tab. And then you're going to put a little bit of glue on top of those tabs and fold the middle piece exactly the same way, right in half where the tabs line up together. And then lay that flower on top of the bottom flower. Do the same exact thing with the center. You can see there's 2 tabs. I folded it in half. So there's 1 tab at the top, 1 tab at the bottom, and then I'm going to glue that on top of that. This piece cuts notches in the card. You have a little line in the center that lines up with the center of your card. Now, I've cut this card to be smaller than A2 because I want my full card to be an A2 size. You put the top tabs 1 inch down from the top and the bottom tabs 2 inches up from the bottom. Just make sure that it is super straight on the fold. Otherwise, you're going to have problems like I kind of did here with the bottom ones. So the top one, I was able to get the tabs of the hummingbird in and glue them down. And now you can see how it will fold flat, but it will also pop up when you open the card. Same thing goes for the flower. So insert the tabs into the slots and then glue them down. If you want extra security there, you can glue a little piece of cardstock on top of the tabs to make sure that it doesn't pop out. So a lot of kind of waiting to make sure this liquid glue is 100% secure before you start moving on and doing anything else on the other side. here again, I am securing those tabs on both the top and the bottom. Like I mentioned, I had a little bit of an off-center cut on the bottom, and that's why I struggled a bit with the flower. This small flower folds right in half. You're going to put glue all over the bottom of it, and then you're going to place it in the center of your flower. That's going to cover up that cardstock in the fold there. So you can just place it in there and then fold it down. Once you have all of that done, you have your A2 side folding card, and just put a little glue on the top and the side and slightly the bottom. Do not cover up the tabs or anything else. You want this to be able to open up and open up the card in the center. So I'm folding it and I have the card placed right in the center of the fold. And once that's done, I do the other side as well. So that completes the actual inside of the pop-up hummingbird. So you can see the hummingbird is drinking from the flower, and it is absolutely beautiful. It's amazing how it works out. So here for the outside of the card, I'm going to cut the hummingbird in half, and I'm going to create two different hummingbirds instead of one-dimensional hummingbird. So I've cut out a couple of pieces for the bellies, the wings, the beaks, and the eyes. I'm using some light peach this time on the belly because I have kind of that rose color for the hummingbirds. So you can do any color combination that you want. Hummingbirds come in absolutely beautiful rainbows of colors, and you can just let your creativity run wild. Of course, they don't have gold mirror wings, but I just think they look so stunning that way. So just enjoy decorating the outside of the card with some really pretty hummingbirds as well. I have a couple of dots of glues for the eyes, and then just place those little teeny tiny cardstock eyes right in place. There's a little score line that shows you exactly where the beak will go. Once that's done, I have another sentiment from the Hummingbird Sentiment stamp set, and I am going to place that right in the right-hand bottom corner, and I've stamped it in black ink, and it says, "May the wind always be at your back and the sun upon your face." So pretty. And then I popped up those hummingbirds so that they were a little bit dimensional off the front of the card. Then I added tape runner all over the front of our pop-up card so I can lay this panel right down on top. And then we have the outside decorated and the inside with that beautiful pop-up mechanism, which really was so easy to create considering how astounding it looks when you open the card. I adore hummingbirds, and I was super excited about this collection, but I'd love to hear what you think. Let me know in the comments below. YouTube thinks you might be interested in checking out this video next. As always, I want to thank you so much for stopping by and spending time with me today. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you again soon. Okay, one more time because I kind of stopped. Stopping by and spend. Oh, you know what I should do? As always, as always what? Just as always. As always. Bye.